Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so like Jason was saying, Crystal City is applying for a Cdbg grant and to redo some of the ramps to stay ahead of your resurfacing projects. So one of the things we have to do is have this public hearing. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. I know you guys got a big meeting tonight, and then we're going to do a needs assessment survey. I'll tell you more about that in a second. So the first thing we did in the application process is working with Jason. We identified what we wanted to do. We're going to have the public hearing tonight, needs assessment as talked about, and then we're going to submit the application to Rosie, and the grant max amount we could get was $250,000. So that's why we're going for $250,000. Next slide, please. So Americans with Disabilities Act requires that if you do a resurfacing project, you're supposed to upgrade your ramps to make them ADA compliant. So that's why we have to do this. Next slide, please. So just to show you your plan, we're going to, in red, we're going to resurface those roads south of 8th Street this summer, and then in blue next summer. So that's what's coming for you guys. So that's the deal. That's what you're doing resurfacing-wise. So knowing that, next slide, please, we went through and looked at what intersections needed ramp improvements. These are those. Those intersections right there are the ones we're going to do for 2022 and 2023. And then if everything goes smoothly, next year we'll talk about getting another $250,000 from Cdbg, Jefferson County, to do ramps to stay ahead of you guys at all the time. So I think the plan, hopefully, is that if this works out pretty well, which I think it will, I'll be back here again next year doing the same thing, public hearing, needs assessment, going and like the city of Peabody did it. DeSoto's been doing it for years with sewer lining. So this is something that's been available. You guys cannot get sewer lining because you're not. What was her reason for that?
The income.
For some reason, Crystal City can't get the sewer lining, but for some reason you guys can get the ramps. So we're going to do the ramps. Those intersections. Next slide, please. So what I did here is I took pictures of all these ramps that we're talking about. I'm not going to show every single ramp, but here's the one intersection at 6th and Lindsay. Next slide. There's another intersection. We're going to resurface these roads. Next slide. So you can see they're not ADA compliant. We're going to make them ADA compliant. Next slide, please. There's 10th and Lindsay. Next slide. So just ramps that are not ADA compliant. I just wanted to show you pictures for the presentation in case there's questions. Next slide, please. There's another one, and I think that's the last one. Okay, so there's the summary cost estimate. So you can see each intersection, number of ramps we're doing at those intersections I just showed you. It looks like it's averaging about $35,000 an intersection for 4 ramps. And again, we're going to try to go up and do as much sidewalk as we can for the tie-ins. So we can't go from intersection to intersection with this money. It's got to be ADA ramp construction. So, but we will. My plan, I'm thinking, is try to get you new sidewalks at least to the next driveway. So the next driveway down to the corner. So the best we can. So there's your overall summary. You guys are going to, it's on one of your ordinances tonight to approve a contract with us to do, if we get them, which we should get the 250, should be no problem, to go ahead and design and bid this thing and have it under construction as soon as possible. I'm hoping this spring, and then we'll follow that up with the resurfacing project, and that'll happen probably in July or August of this year. So that's the plan. Next slide, please. So we are now to that's the public hearing. That's my presentation. Is there any questions from anybody on why we're doing what we're doing?
Dave, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Not questioning why we're doing it or what we're doing, but $35,000 for a ramp sounds like an awful lot of money for a ramp.
It's 4 of them. 35 for the 4
So
ramps.
that's each, okay.
Yeah.
And again, sounds like a lot of money, but I guess that's a little bit more reasonable.
And again, so take 35 divided by 4, I'm going to go up to as far as I can to get good tie-ins too. So I'm going to try to do, it's a ramp project, trying to get as much sidewalking as I can too.
And then the other thing is a consistent complaint that I've heard from, like, everybody's thrilled with how Jefferson and 8th Street and everything turned out, but where we redid those ramps and put in the ADA compliant little bunk pads and everything, they tend to, because of the way things slope there with the street at a slightly higher level and the sidewalk at a slightly higher level, what you wind up getting there in the wintertime is a little pool of water that freezes. Is there any way that we can address that so we don't have a big sheet of ice right where somebody needs to stand.
Yeah,
before they
when
can
we
cross the
design
street.
them, we'll try to avoid that. I know what you're talking about. And also, you're talking about the little, like pie shapes that are kind of in the middle. They have new specs and details on that too, so hopefully we're away from that as well.
Okay.
So, but, you know, here's the thing. They're 2% cross slopes, they're flat, they're made to be flat.
Right.
It's a problem. It's a problem with dirt, debris, ice. It's just a problem. I mean, they're by nature made flat.
Yeah,
So
that's
we do the
essentially
best
what
we
I told
can.
them, but like,
The contractors have been getting better at it as the years have gone by. Those ones you're talking about, that's when the new ADA guidelines, the newer ones came out, you know, 5 or 6 or 8 years ago.
yeah,
They're better now, but again, it's still, they're flat, and I drive by sometimes, there's dirt all over them because it doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
wash itself off, so.
anyway, just do what you can.
Yeah, we'll do the best we can, and that's what we
Dave?
got.
Are you done? Tony?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So how did we come up with which intersections to work on?
Jason, you still here?
Nope, he just
You ain't
left.
here? How do I go back?
Is it based on like,
Based on the roads we're gonna
traffic?
surface next year, that's the reason. So what we're gonna do, here's the map. So you see the red right there, those are the ones we're doing next year.
Yep,
The blues are the ones we're doing in 2023. So I looked at all those intersections, and the ones that need to be upgraded are the ones that we picked. And then next year, I'll look at ahead again, what you're gonna be doing in 2024, 2025, and try to get the ramps ahead of you guys for the resurfacing. Because right now, the ramps are kind of holding us up. We gotta get those done before we resurface this summer. So that's the reason we're doing this order.
and, I'm sorry, I'm in a bad vantage point to see, is that Jefferson and Virginia? Mostly the north-south roads?
No.
What is that?
Yeah, I mean, there's Jefferson,
You had another slide that had all the streets on it.
yeah, you wanna see,
You had the intersections on it, yeah. So Lindsay's one of them?
here, you can look right there.
Well,
Those are the ones we're doing right there.
I'm sorry, I can't see it. There's a reflection there and that's too far away.
Yeah, I'm the same way, I can't see it either.
Yeah. Can anybody see that and tell me what they are?
I got a light on that.
You got Lindsay in 6, Lindsay in 7, Virginia in 7, Virginia in 6.
So the north-south are Lindsay and Virginia? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. And we picked those based on,
Project.
that's
our paving project for next year, is that
okay.
area of town. So we're going in, prior to that paving project starting late summer, this will happen prior to probably early spring.
And we agreed to that about a year ago, right, or maybe a year and
In the fall, I think,
okay.
when I brought this application.
See, this one here,
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
your red, the red, you wanna do the red, the blue, but that was like 600,000, so the red's 300, that's why you did the 300 project this year.
Okay.
Jason, the only other thing I was gonna ask is, they say they're on them walkways on the sidewalks, they're gonna protrude them out, you know, as far as they can, as far as cost-wise. We may have some pretty bad spots in there as far as sidewalks in those areas that they're talking about. I don't know for sure, but, it's more likely that we do. Could we, as a city, work with them to go ahead and, instead of doing up to somebody's driveway, and if that sidewalk is bad all the way down, let's go ahead and do it.
Well, we can look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the public hearing? Okay, so what I have here is needs assessment. I've done this before with this, and it's a lot of questions, they're all kind of redundant. And what we're gonna do is I'll read the question, and then you guys all agree on what the answer is, I'll write it down, we'll go to the next one. And I'll try to get through this, all right? Cdbg actually has a new format that's much better than this one, but Rosie likes to use this one still, so does anybody in the audience want to be involved with this at all? Huh? Okay, first question. You can see what we're talking about here. Your water source, does it exist, good, fair, or poor? City, this is for Crystal City, so what this is the Cdbg folks looking at Crystal City, seeing what your needs are. So it's a needs assessment. So keep in mind Crystal City, and we'll just do the best we can with it. So your water source is good?
Yep.
Okay. Water treatment is good?
Yep.
Water distribution good?
Nope.
Fair or poor?
Fair, maybe.
Fair? Poor? So which am I putting down? Fair or poor? Poor? Because, yeah, okay, well, we'll just keep going. Sanitary sewer treatment? Sanitary sewer collection? Storm sewer collection?
It's either good or bad.
Either works or it don't, right? Either floods or it doesn't. I'll put, other damage. I don't even know what that means. Other damage. Well, I, like I said, I don't, just forms, whatever. I'll put, doesn't exist for other damage. How's that? Streets drainage, I'm gonna put poor, because that's why we're here. Bridges, you only got, one, don't you, and it's good, two? They're good. Sidewalks, I'm gonna say poor. Parks, recreation facilities. Fair. Landfill, doesn't exist. Electric generation distribution. I don't even know, I don't even know how to answer that one either. I'm not, what? Yeah, I know, I think though, if you're just Crystal City resident, is it fair, how is it? It's good, right? It's good. It's not just city, okay. Natural gas distribution, good. Other, doesn't exist, okay. Let's go, fire protection, good?
Good,
Police?
good.
Code enforcement? Energy
Good.
conservation? I don't know. I'm just marking down the things on their form. What is it?
Poor.
Poor? Okay, poor. Healthcare, good? Well, that says good then. I'm gonna go good. You know, one of the things they're trying to do here is if you have a need, they're trying to figure, so I don't think you want another hospital here, so I'm gonna, kind of look at it like that, so. We want money for streets, we want money for sidewalks, we'll put poor on those. Recreational, cultural activities? Snow removal?
Good,
Street cleaning?
good,
Park maintenance?
pretty good,
Emergency medical services?
good,
Trash removal?
outstanding,
Street lighting?
good,
Sidewalks? Poor?
poor,
Parking?
fair,
Fair, there you go. Other, doesn't exist. All right. Don't worry, you don't have to do D, or E, or H. Okay, community facilities. Your community center,
doesn't exist.
doesn't exist. Senior citizen center, fair?
I'd say poor, because they do a good job, but they're pretty limited in their scope.
That's true.
Limited in how many people they can serve.
Poor?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Historic
do a
pre-
good job, though.
Historic preservation, shelter workshop,
Closest one I know of is in Imperial. I would say we don't have one.
doesn't exist.
Got one out there off of the A.
Oh, yeah. Well, is it a sheltered workshop?
There's a workshop of
Okay,
out there.
all right,
Poor?
sure,
Hospital, good.
Good.
good,
Infant daycare,
Poor,
mental health counseling services,
fair.
Comtree over in Festus. Well,
but I mean, you have access to it,
Yeah.
so if it's kind of close, I would say. Senior citizen transportation, that's good, isn't it?
that's, yeah, I guess,
Teen youth center,
doesn't exist.
They don't have one.
drug abuse prevention and rehabilitation. Teen Youth
We don't
Center
have one.
doesn't exist. Crime prevention program? Good? Let's do good. Community theater?
Jeffco has a program, they put on a pretty good production last summer, from what I understand. I'd say fair. Yeah, yeah, because there were people involved in it who weren't students, so,
Fair?
yeah.
You guys got a library? Good?
Yes, very good.
They don't, okay. Other doesn't exist. Okay. Skip D. We don't have to worry about D. Skip E. We're on F. Primary care physicians.
I don't know.
You know what? I don't even think I'm gonna fill this. Let's don't do F either. This is for Rosie. I don't think we need that, do we, Jason? I mean, you looking at those questions, that's,
Yeah.
let's do G. Well, I don't think, let's don't do F. That's how we're gonna answer all that. Preschools, high?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sure do.
How do you want me to rank it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Aye.
4. I'll do 4. Public schools. 4? I'll do 4. Private schools. 4?
Yeah.
Vocational schools.
Yeah. 4.
Community colleges.
4.
Universities. Continuing ed.
4. Jeffco has a lot of programs for that.
Yeah, they do.
Employer-based skills training.
Jeffco does quite a bit of that
Yeah,
too.
right.
4.
Yeah.
Cooperative school business partnerships. I'm gonna put 1. Shared school,
I've done some of that, but I'm not real familiar.
It's,
let's
It's
see,
a-
you guys share your school facilities, recreational library. So that's a, I'll say 4. Alright. Entrepreneurship training,
1.
1. Children's groups,
No, 3 or 4 probably.
3. Can always be better, right? And that's the whole point, that can always be better, so. Alright, we're gonna skip H. Let's do I real quick. Skilled jobs there at the bottom. 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Non-skilled jobs, 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Identify the community's top 5 priority needs in this assessment. List the importance and intentions to address. So we're gonna put,
You have job training, you skip that one on
what-
the, it's part of the 3,
on which page?
on,
26.
it's just part of the.
Oh, job training. What do you wanna give that one? 3? 2?
I'd say it's
2? Let's do, we haven't done a 2, let's do a 2. Okay, community's top 5 priority needs, I'm gonna go ahead and put your ADA ramps as number 1, because that's what we're doing. I'm gonna say streets number 2,
Yep.
sidewalks number 3,
Streets and alleys, the same thing.
No. Are they?
we put alleys, or you wanna do water, or what?
I like, I mean,
Alleys, infrastructure, and if we get it.
Alleys?
I mean,
yeah,
we've got some bad ones when that trash truck runs through there.
right.
And then one more after alleys.
Can we do, like,
Water,
Whatever you, yeah,
water line?
yeah, water infrastructure,
Yeah, sewer
Sure.
line, something like that.
water distribution,
Excellent.
because our water plant
water distribution.
is great, but our distribution is all over.
Yep. I'll take care of K, and I'll take care of the rest of it, and then Mary, you'll sign it once we, I'll fill it all out electronically, and I'll be good with that. So I'm good, I wanted to go as quick as I can, I got it. Is everybody good?
I would love to tell you that somebody is gonna look at this and, give you more money, but I'm pretty sure that this form only exists to justify the fact that the federal government gives us money for sidewalks.
Yeah, I'll be back, I'll have to do it again next year.
And nobody's
Yeah.
ever gonna look at it again.
I'll have to come back and do the needs assessment next year,
Right,
same
right.
thing, so.
Any other questions? If not, I declare this public hearing closed. Right now, we'll go on into our regular scheduled meeting for January 24th, 2022. Call the meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the pledge of allegiance to the flag led by Councilperson Jennifer? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will take the roll call. Councilperson Ginever? Here. Councilperson Schonberg? Absent. Councilperson Becker?
I'm here.
Councilperson Fisher?
Present.
Councilperson Bradley?
Here, Your Honor.
Councilperson Massa? Absent. Councilperson Osher?
Here.
Councilperson Piccarella? And before I ask for the approval of the agenda, I need to amend the agenda as to remove ordinance number 1859, 2021, and add ordinance 1864, 2022. Both ordinances are regarding the CID at the Twin City Mall. Madam Clerk, did you give everybody a copy of the... Okay.
I'm sorry, you're waiting on a motion to approve that?
I'm waiting on a motion for approval.
So moved.
The motion's been made and seconded for the approval of the amendment. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. At this time, I will ask for approval of the amendment as presented.
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, has this agenda been posted, dated, signed, and/or initialed? I will entertain a motion for the approval of the council meeting for December the 20th, 2021.
I'll move to approve the December meeting minutes.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Public comment. Mr. Bob McWilliams, property at 302 Lindsay Avenue. Yes, sir, you may have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I'll introduce myself. I'm Bob McWilliams. I'm here tonight, to talk to you through the lens of a business owner, not a resident. To be clear about that, I don't live here. But I have invested a great deal of money over on Lindsay Street in property. There was a fire, as you all know, on November 5th, next door to my property. I sustained some collateral damage to one of my buildings. And I understand everything takes time. I try to be patient. But we're closing in on 90 days since the incident. So I started reaching out to city officials about 2 weeks ago. And I believe there's a misunderstanding about circumstances. I spoke with inspections and also administration. And the responses were both, the reason it hasn't been cleaned up is because there's still current fire investigations that are active. From what I can find, that is not the case. And I'll explain why. My property being damaged, my insurance company was involved. So I have a backdoor set of communications into that particular incident. Shortly after the fire, their carrier enlisted the help of Midwest Fire in Illinois, who, they only come in the event that there's a suspicion of arson. They concluded their investigations on December 22nd. and I can give you phone numbers to validate all this information at the end if you'd like. I spoke with your fire chief, and who also enlisted the help of the state fire marshal, because they also suspected arson. I can't speak to what Midwest Fire found, because they wouldn't release their findings to me. But both your fire marshal and the state concluded that it's indeterminate. The short story of all that is, there are no active fire investigations right now. Leaving that topic and moving on, when I spoke to Matt Brewer, Matt indicated that the city won't really push for a cleanup until the affected individual has received payout from insurance. And I get that. I understand that. It's probably financial hardship at that point. I have to be careful with my words here. The reason the payout has not been made is because of exorbitant claims of contents. Okay? There's a claim, there's a dispute between owner and insurance company about what was in the building. That's why payout hasn't been made, and that's what's been passed on to me. Now, my question to the council is, because I have about $400,000 in business investment in those two duplexes immediately to the north. I've invested a great deal of my money to improve basically abandoned property, turn it into a very desirable property. Since the fire, I've already had 2 notices of intent to move, both stating that they can't live next to that. This is going to be a financial impact on me very shortly. And I have to do something to try and offset that. How long will the city allow this to sit simply because the gentleman's trying to claim more than he really should be getting? It's not, that can't be allowed to stand. There's got to be a common sense solution applied to this problem. Because if it was an arson investigation, I totally get that. Due diligence has to be done. From everything I can find out, there will be no more fire investigations thereafter. And I'm about to start losing clients.
Mr. McMillan, do you know if, here again, I'm just asking, do you know if there's been I know there's been an investigation through the fire and state fire marshal and whatnot. Do you know if somebody has hired a private investigator? I mean,
What you're speaking.
yes.
And he's interviewed my clients. He is not there for fire. Because I know the conversations and I understand the questions that he posed to my clients, my tenants. He's trying to validate what was taken into the home and what was taken out before the fire. He's there because of the dispute over contents, not fire.
Okay.
That's where the private investigation tangent is coming from.
I know we just talked about it this morning, is that correct, Jason, about, the process of getting it taken care of and tore down on the city's part as far as our process. I know you wanted to send a letter of intent to start, give them a letter and say, hey, 30 days, you got 30 days to start something. And then after that, if nothing's done, then we have to start our demolition process, which takes a little bit.
Yes, I talked to, Mr. McWilliams on the phone, right? Correct. So, everything he said is what I understand, to be transpiring. I don't think the gentleman has been paid out on the property yet, therefore it's not demolished yet. So what I suggested this morning, as soon as we know he has been paid out and has the funds to demolish the property, we send him a letter, he's got 30 days to start the process. Our condemnation process, you all have been through that on several recently, is longer than 30 days. I think those are typically, by the time we do a public hearing, 3 months out.
Put it to paper, I'm gonna say about 3 months.
On our process to tear down the house. So it really falls on when he gets paid out and what he does from there. Councilman Baker, if you could put on your insurance hat and speak to this a little bit, I don't.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is it's extremely unusual for a fire claim to take that long to get paid out.
I don't believe this is a fire issue any longer.
Well, I mean,
Dispute over content.
it's a dispute over the contents which were destroyed by the fire, but the number one rule in insurance is fire is always covered, period. Especially for the structure. So it kind of blows my mind that the insurance company's taken 90 days to make a payment on a fire loss in a building.
I know for a fact that he has not received a check.
So that's what I'm saying. It's unlikely that he hasn't received something.
We talked to his agent Friday, and he has not received there.
Well, I'd say start the clock ticking anyway.
We can do that. We can get ahold of the owner.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, and maybe there's not an answer for it tonight, but I at least have to ask the question.
Sure.
If they're gonna hold this pay over a dispute over content, how long is that gonna be allowed to sit there? I mean, my tenants are saying animals, smell, foot traffic at night.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Becker, let me ask you, as far as an insurance claim on fire, and then is there a separate claim for the contents that this gentleman's talking about? I mean, can you pay out for the fire and then that's a dispute for the, contents to
It's pretty
continue on?
routine for an insurance company to make a partial payment on a claim like that, and then settle up on other items of the claim after the fact. For instance, a lot of insurance companies will pay you out the actual cash value of a building, and then only if you actually make the repairs to the building do they pay out the difference between that and the replacement cost loss. So,
What we need to find out then is, has this gentleman been paid out? I mean, I know, Jason, you said you talked to his agent Friday.
Well, you were in my
Yeah, but does he,
had up here to explain what's going on.
Will
Right.
they give you reason as to why? Did you ask the question, why haven't you been paid?
No.
That's a question that should be
Right.
asked.
I don't know what
And-
he's telling me. He just said they have not been paid out.
and what I'm saying is the obligation to do whatever the property owner is supposed to do exists regardless of whether or not the insurance company's paid out.
Agreed.
So let's start the clock.
And this is my point. When you purchase a home in this city, you have an obligation if something happens to it, even I know that. You can't just let it go.
Yeah.
right,
The city will step in at some point.
exactly. Stepped in across from my house there on, 313 Jefferson, maybe, it's been 15 years ago. They left a big hole right there in the ground. Of course, we had money in the bank from the insurance payment. I just told the guy, I would tell you one thing right now, if you don't fill that hole in, 'cause it was about 15 foot deep, city's gonna fill it in, we're gonna take that money you got in the bank, and that's what we're gonna pay it off with.
Well, if I can offer a partial solution, deem it what you will. I know for a fact that the property is trying to be sold, and I know who is trying to be sold too. If he won't tear it down and fix it, you guys tear it down and fix it and put a lien on it.
That's our process to do. But that's the one that takes, and we need to get the clock ticking on that. That's the one that takes a while.
If I thought this was over in 90 days, I'd be thrilled right now.
You're 90 days in.
That's a good indication for me right now, is 90 days.
Get with Rick, Mr. Eisenbeis, and, get the ball rolling on that for us, please. And, take it from there. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Check registered bills, financial report, sales tax report, Councilperson Becker and Madam Clerk.
Jason, unless you or Shelley have something you would like to discuss about this, I'm just gonna make a motion to approve it in its entirety. I'll make a motion to approve the check register bills and the remainder of the financial report.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the check register bills and financial report. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Committee reports, Water Committee, Councilperson Picarella.
I don't have anything.
All I know is the guy's been working on a few water breaks here and there, so, they're, yeah, it's that time of the year, so. And not only here, but when I go over to, my son's house over in Festus, I see them all over there too, so. Public Welfare and Power, Councilperson Fisher.
The fire department had 36 calls total, 4 processes, and, report is in your packet.
Yes, sir. Building Commissioner, Mr. Eisenbeis, you have anything on that?
I do not.
And you will get with Mr. Cox on getting that process moving, correct? Thank you. Street lighting, Councilperson Bradley.
I don't have anything, Daniel's got his, report packet here.
Yes, sir.
No busy month, did you?
They've been,
A lot of bulk
a lot of books, 70, I think there was 70 some odd this month.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Bradley?
No, sir.
Police Department, Councilperson Schonberg is absent. Do you have anything on that? Mr. Eisenbeis?
I do not, Chief reported.
His report's in the packet. Council liaison reports, library, Councilperson Fisher.
I believe the library is closed until the 31st, that's what it says here on their Facebook page. And I know that they also built a new website, and I think it's out there now, you can link to it from the Facebook page.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Port Board, Councilperson Osher.
No, sir.
Sewage Commission, Councilperson Picarella.
I don't have anything, we didn't have a forum for last week.
Planning and Zoning, Councilperson Becker.
There had been a meeting scheduled for, Thursday in January that I believe has been canceled. I guess that would have been last week, so it was canceled. But, I assume that'll be rescheduled for a future date, and that was to, revisit some of the subdivision regulations
Right.
that came up last time.
Right, okay. Zoning of Appeals Board, Councilperson Ginever.
I don't have anything.
Levy Commission, Councilperson Schonberg. Do you have anything on that, Mr. Eisenbeis?
No, sir.
Mayor, before we move on from the council liaison reports, can I ask,
Sure.
Councilman Osher, what's going on with the, Hickey White Park situation?
So the Hickey White Park has, they were waiting on a topo map
Okay.
for grade, and
Okay.
I believe they have that, Mr. Goodwin is providing that for us.
Good.
So they're waiting for that, so everything's moving along with that pretty well.
Good deal.
Mr. Eisenbach got us a couple more grants
Okay.
on the Hickey White Park, so it's moving, it's just in the paperwork, stage of it, so.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
Public response. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak of something of a previous meeting in December? If not, I'll move on to old business Twin City Mall CID update. Mr. Eisenbeis?
Turn that over to Brandon. So you should have in your packet the proposed ordinance here for the Twin City Mall CID. So last time we were here, we were still trying to iron out the easement and maintenance agreement, for the replacement of the culvert that runs on the back part of Gordon's parking lot, I believe what it was last. So the petition that has been presented, which we've discussed, would not add any additional property to the district itself, which includes, that Twin City Mall area, but it would increase the length of time on which that, tax would be paid for that particular district. So it was originally passed back in 2011 on a 30-year term. That term would then be extended to include a 30-year term on the date that the ordinance becomes effective. So what we've been trying to do is come up with an agreement that works for both the developer and for the city for the replacement of that culvert. So that the details of that is that between the city of Festus and the city of Crystal City, they would each contribute $150,000 to the cost of the replacement of that culvert. The bid on that was roughly $800-something thousand, goodness, probably 2 years ago or so. So I don't think it's gone down. But the city's obligations haven't changed. So ours is capped at the $150,000. So that project would be borne entirely out of the developer or the rest of those funds to replace that. Time-wise, it is going to be a little longer than what we would have liked. So October is generally when they think they would have leases buttoned up with a lot of those properties to be comfortable moving forward with the project. So we're looking at a start date that would be no later than April of 2023 is what the proposal is. And we kind of battered around that date last time a little bit, thinking that might be where we land, and that is where we ended up. So there is a trigger in the easement agreement that would cause it to be done quicker. That's if the Kmart and the Gordon's building are under lease and both of those tenants have accepted their premises at that point in time. There is some build-out work that has to be done on both of those properties, so I'm not sure how likely that is. But at a minimum, that April 2023 date is the starting point for the work to be commenced no matter what, if they don't terminate the agreement prior to that. So there is some provisions in here as far as the grantor's conditions that we talked about last time that gave the council some concern, in particular that they essentially, the the developers can cancel the agreement if they don't feel that they'll get lease agreements that would supply the CID revenue to cover the cost of the repairs. We limited that to, they have to secure lease agreements to the tenants that are proposed in the actual amended petition, and those are already set forth in the amended petition. And the good part is, we did have a call with the developer and their attorney and, the city today, and most of those tenants are under LOIs already. So the project is moving forward in a positive direction. I do have Stephen Schott, the attorney for the district, and Jones, and Laura Jones here, Jones here as well. And just to prove that she is RL's daughter, we're gonna give her a chance to speak and see how quickly she can take a house law. See if you follow a lawyer for long. But no, they're both down here to answer any questions. I think we got as good of a deal as we're gonna get on the easement part of it. I would have liked to have seen some of the language that we talked about last time, maybe some bonding. That was rejected by the developer because of cost that it would add to the project. And then even a percentage of leases, I would have liked to see something like that, because it's still kind of in their hands as to whether or not a termination agreement can be in play. The flip side of that is we did also add language that says if they terminate this agreement because they don't feel like they can generate sufficient revenue under the CID, then their amended CID is actually going to be terminated as well. So we would revert back to the original CID agreement, which would not give them the ability to collect another, I guess, 11 or 12 years, which is what they're in right now. So the revenue would essentially stay what it is now under the current agreement. And then we would have to come up with some other alternative routes to get that culvert work done, because it's gonna have to be done regardless. The city certainly has a position that I think it could take if it got to that point, but we don't need to necessarily go there at this point in time. So that's what's in front of us here. So I would hope that if the council is comfortable this evening, that we would move forward with that. As far as passage of the ordinance approving the CID pending the easement and maintenance agreement being executed by all the parties, because it still has to be executed by Festus as well, because they frankly need an easement through that property to have the culvert there in the first place, because there's no recorded easement. So that still has to be granted and surveyed as well. So as soon as that easement agreement is actually recorded, or is actually signed and executed by all the parties, that's when the effective date of the amended CID petition would start to trigger. So that's a real general kind of rundown of everything here. So questions, comments, concerns?
Mr. Munoz,
Yes, sir.
if the council so desires and wishes to move forward with this bill and ordinance, do you see a need to approve, by reading twice this evening?
I think that's appropriate, because that gives us the opportunity to move forward and get it to the city of Festus as well. The Joneses would need to sign this too, and they're in Florida right now, so there's a lot of logistics that needs to be done to get this to happen. I'd like to get this kind of off the books at this point in time. I'd like to get this project, get some traction on it, get it moving, give the developer some assurance that we're working with them as well to get this project done. And I know you're pushing for it. You told me you want to get this done, you want to get this moving, so I think we can get this done tonight if the council's ready.
Any other questions from the council?
Brandon, I think you answered this in your, presentation, but, we've discussed a lot of these issues at length. If you are of the opinion that this is the, best deal that could be worked out on behalf of the city, I'm willing to go with that.
Yeah, it is. I know that the bond was something we really were hoping for, and as well as maybe a percentage, that would be a trigger for the work to be performed. It's just too uncertain to get that, and frankly, the developer just flat rejected the bonding issue, which, would add additional costs to the project that they didn't want to absorb into this as well. So,
Okay.
After the call with the developer today, I feel really comfortable and confident that it's moving in the right direction. With them having the LOIs wrapped up, they were hoping within, 90 days or so that they'd get some more clarity on the lease situations here, and they have, all intentions of moving forward with the project as far as getting tenants in that plaza. So I think it's moving in the right direction.
Then I say let's go ahead and get it done. I appreciate you guys coming down here, but the lack of final paperwork is really what the problem was, not your personal absence.
Come on, you can fight for me, something.
How committed are these?
No, it worked out well. It gave Brandon and I some time to finalize the document, which I think really helped out. And I think the call today was a good call. Jason and Brandon got to hear where we were with the tenants. Everything's looking very positive, and as Brandon said, we think probably within 90 days, we should hopefully have signed. No guarantee, but we should have signed leases, we have signed LOIs. You know, anything can happen in that period of time, but, everything's obviously looking and moving in the right direction right now.
And the good part is these tenants have been proposed for a period of time, and you would think by now, if they weren't gonna do it, that they would tell us they're not gonna do it.
They were here pre-COVID, and then obviously when COVID came, everybody knows kind of what happened with retail, it obviously had its issues, but they stuck around, so they're still here, so obviously there's a lot of interest from them. They've gone through COVID and they're still very interested in this, site.
So the list of tenants that are in the document are the ones that we're talking about?
Correct.
And I think you just answered it, but there's a pretty serious commitment by those tenants.
There are signed letters of intent. Now, letters of
Okay.
intent, as you may know, are non-binding. Or you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have actual lease forms from 3 of them.
Yes, 3
Three of the 4 have actually already started lease negotiations. The 4th one, the LOI, the letter of intent, just got signed last week, Friday. So, obviously, they're spending time, money, effort to move this forward. So, most tenants aren't gonna do that if they're not truly interested in the site.
Yes, and I've done site visits with the architect and meeting on Wednesday with the engineer and structural engineer.
Did you get a chance to speak to them about other maintenance issues? Probably not related to the culvert, but lighting, sign lighting.
Oh, the
Yeah.
sign, there were emails going back and forth today. There's a part ordered for the sign.
There's the power, something with the
Right.
power, we're meeting the lighting sign and our electrician on Wednesday.
Yeah, and they had to order a part, and it should be here, I think.
About parking lot lighting,
That's back on, do it out.
wasn't on this morning.
Cause I noticed it and then
I haven't seen it on, I light every morning.
That might just be a timer, I'll have our guys look into it. There will be parking lot lighting.
it's been off and on, cause I know.
I haven't seen it on, yeah. The building lights are nice and bright, but
The parking lot was off, and then it was back on, it's kind of been coming and going, but it looked like it was back on for like 2 days, but.
okay. I'll look
You know,
They're
I'll
gonna
look
check
at
it.
it. I'll
Yeah,
have our guys
we'll
check
look
it.
at that. That could be, like you said, that could be a
That
timer
might just
issue.
be a, yeah,
Could
timer.
be just be a timer issue too.
Yeah. I don't even think at 4:60 it'd still be on. No.
Or on the 7th, come by over there. 4 to 7, come by and they're there.
No, that's pretty well done as far as that all on the new business. Ordinance and resolution, unless the council's got any other questions for, okay, moving on, ordinance and resolutions, we have bill number 1864-2022, which has been removed and replaced 1859-2021. Which is the restatement of the Twin City Mall Community Improvement.
Go to 1860, do an order. 1864.
1864 is the one we just added, right?
Yes, it'll be the last
We
one.
took out 1859, so I was just thinking we just,
Oh, yeah.
if you want to take them in order,
Yeah.
that's fine. 1860-2022, update and modify the city's water and sewer rates.
Mayor, am I correct in thinking that we passed this the first time, last time?
Yes, sir, we just need the, second and final reading.
Okay, I'll move to read Bill 1860-2022 on its second and final reading by title only.
Motion's been made and seconded to read Bill 1860-2022 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have the second and final reading of Bill 1860-2022, please.
Bill number 1860-2022 on its second and final reading by title only, an ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, providing for the amendment of Chapter 28, Article 2, Division 4, Section 28-68, Sub A, and Chapter 28, Article 3, Division 5, Section 28-165, Sub A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, so as to update and modify the city's water and sewer rates.
I'll move to approve Bill 1860-2022 on its second and final reading.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve 1860-2022 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
I oppose them.
One opposed? Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
I will poll the council. Councilperson Fisher?
Yes.
Councilperson Picarella?
Yes.
Councilperson Becker?
Yes.
Councilperson Ginever?
Yes.
Councilperson Bradley?
Yes.
Councilperson Osher?
No.
Bill number 1860-2022 now becomes ordinance 1860-2022. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? The next one we have on ordinance resolutions 1862-2022, contract with Cochran Engineering for Community Development Block Grant.
I'll move to read Bill 1862-2022 on its first reading by title only.
The motion been made and seconded to read Bill 1862-2022 by title only. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have the first reading, please, of 1862-2022.
Bill number 1862-2022 on its first reading by title only. An ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, authorizing the mayor, Thomas B. Shelley, to enter into a contract with Cochran Engineering in the amount of $39,464 for engineering, design, bidding, and construction services related to the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Move to approve Bill 1862-2022 on its first reading.
Second.
The motion been made and seconded to approve 1862-2022 on its first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Mayor, do we need to pass these Cochran bills twice tonight?
Yes, please.
I'll move to read Bill 1862-2022 on its second and final reading by title only.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to read Bill 1862-2022 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have the second reading, please.
Bill number 1862-2022 on its second and final reading by title only. An ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, authorizing the mayor, Thomas B. Shelley, to enter into a contract with Cochran Engineering in the amount of $39,464 for engineering, design, bidding, and construction services related to the Community Development Block Grant Program.
I'll move to approve Bill 1862-2022 on its second and final reading.
Second.
The motion been made and seconded to accept Bill 1862 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. I'll poll the council. Councilperson Bradley?
Yes.
Councilperson Osher?
Yes.
Councilperson Ginever?
Yes.
Councilperson Becker?
Yes.
Councilperson Fisher?
Yes.
Councilperson Picarella?
Yes.
Bill 1862-2022 now becomes ordinance 1862-2022. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
We're ready for the next one.
The next one we have is bill number 1863-2022, contract with Cochran Engineering for the street overlaying program.
I'll move to read Bill 1863-2022 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to read bill 1863-2022 by title only on its first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have the first reading of 1863-2022, please.
Bill number 1863-2022 on its first reading by title only. An ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, authorizing the mayor, Thomas B. Shelley, to enter into a contract with Cochran Engineering in the amount of $33,014 for engineering design, bidding, and construction services related to the 2022 street overlay program.
I'll move to approve Bill 1863-2022 on its first reading.
Second. The motion been made and seconded to accept Bill 1863-2022, to read Bill 1863-2022.
Or approving.
Is this approval, right?
Yep.
Approve 1863-2022 on its first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
I'll move to read Bill 1863-2022 on its second and final reading by title only.
Second. The motion's been made and seconded to read Bill 1863-2022 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have the second and final reading, please.
Bill number 1863-2022 on its final and second reading by title only. An ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, authorizing the mayor, Thomas B. Shelley, to enter into a contract with Cochran Engineering in the amount of $33,014 for engineering design, bidding, and construction services related to the 2022 street overlay program.
I'll move to accept Bill 1863-2022 on its second and final reading.
Second. The motion's been made and seconded to accept Bill 1863-2022 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. I will poll the council. Councilperson Piccarella?
Yes.
Councilperson Fisher?
Yes.
Councilperson Becker?
Yes.
Councilperson Dever?
Yes.
Councilperson Osher?
Yes.
Councilperson Bradley?
Yes.
And Bill 1863-2022 now becomes ordinance 1863-2022. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
The next one we have is Bill 1864-2022, amendment and restatement of the Twin City Mall Community Improvement.
I'll move to read Bill 1864-2022 by title only on its first reading.
Second. The motion's been made and seconded to read Bill 1864-2022 on its first reading by title only. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have the first reading, please.
Bill number 1864-2022 on its first reading by title only. An ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, authorizing the amendment and reinstatement of the petition creating the Twin City Mall Community Improvement District and to amend the 5-year plan for the district and certain other matters related to the district.
I'll move to approve Bill 1864-2022 on its first reading.
Second. The motion's been made and seconded to approve 1864-2022 on its first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
I'll move to read Bill 1864-2022 a second time this evening by title only.
Second. The motion's been made and seconded to read Bill 1864-2022 by title only on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Madam Clerk, we have a second and final reading, please.
Bill number 1864-2022 on its final reading by title only. An ordinance of the City of Crystal City, Missouri, authorizing the amendment and restatement of the petition creating the Twin City Mall Community Improvement District and to amend the 5-year plan for the district and certain other matters related to the district.
I'll move to approve 1864-2022 on its second and final reading.
Second. The motion's been made and seconded to approve 1864-2022 on its second and final reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. I'll poll the council. Councilperson Piccarella?
Yes, sir.
Councilperson Fisher?
Yes.
Councilperson Becker?
Yes.
Councilperson Dever?
Yes.
Councilperson Osher?
Yes, sir.
Councilperson Bradley?
Yes.
And Bill 1864-2022 now becomes ordinance 1864-2022. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? Everybody's got a copy of the city administrator's report? Mayor's report, I really don't have a whole lot other than, I'm just asking people to stay safe and, be careful out there. Where the heck's the signatures at? Where's it at here? Here it is.
Thanks, guys.
It's on the second page. Tony, you do the readings, don't you?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Like I said, on the mayor's report, just asking people to stay safe. When it gets cold, just wash the water and hope it doesn't get that cold where everything starts freezing up real bad. I'll go to the round table. Councilperson Piccarello. Councilperson Fisher. Councilperson Becker.
I did have a couple of things. I don't want to hold us up here, but, I participated in a couple of meetings here. The TrailNet is having a meeting involving Festus, Crystal City, and Herculaneum. They're wanting to do a project in this area, and, I'm not sure how exactly I got roped into this, but I sat on an hour and a half Zoom call the other day where we kind of bounced some ideas around. I told them that, this might be a good time to do a project like that, since we have something going for the Great Streets, which involves quite a bit of planning work, especially with regard to that intersection across 61, 67 down there. And, since MoDOT is also doing some work on 61, 67 up through the, northern end of town, it might be an opportunity to improve that crossing with regard to, pedestrian bicycle safety, so. I told them, let us know what you need. If anybody has any ideas on improvements that ought to be made for that, I guess funnel them through me. I also sat on a couple of, calls for the East-West Gateway Great Streets program. They've actually started having meetings now. Pleasantly enough, since they had a big rollout meeting right after Thanksgiving and then nobody heard from them for 6 weeks. So, that process has started a little bit. I'm not sure if a whole lot has come out of it yet, but they are starting to have one-on-one meetings with people, so, gathering ideas. And, I don't know if anybody, wasn't already aware of this, but we did form a campaign committee for the, Better Roads Ahead, to promote the, city's use tax issue. Just in case anybody wasn't aware of that, with, Jim Siebert, former mayor. Jim Siebert is the treasurer of that.
Right.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilperson Ginever?
Well, I was gonna say I didn't have anything, but Tony reminded me that I sat in the meeting too. I think we were all invited, on the, Highway 55.
55, yes, sir.
Yeah, which I thought was really good.
I
They
didn't
actually,
get a chance to sit on that.
yeah, it was good. They went over all the options and all the, how they're gonna change all the intersections up between, Peebly and, the south end of town. Anyway, yeah, I think it's recorded, and if you wanna see it, yeah, we can probably get it to you.
And the library has the Festus Library has a nice option, and you just
Oh,
scan
good.
and vote on your phone which one you want. I went there today. It's,
Very good.
it's nice.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilperson Osher?
No, sir.
Councilperson Bradley?
No, sir.
Chief Helms? No, sir. Mr. Eisenbach? Madam Clerk? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting so as we can take a short break and then we'll have to go into a special meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Adjourn this, take a quick break.
Yeah.
I'm doing fine, how are you?
You put me in an office over here, I've been hanging out here a little bit.
Yeah, I know you have. I don't see how you had time for your day job.
Yeah, I tend to be the, thought around the office right now.
Yeah.